How's it going, everybody? It is Wednesday. It's that time of the week. Group D distributions are out for YieldMax ETF. Roundhill ETF distributions are out. They came out, as always, Tuesday night. And YieldMax coming out at 6:55 in the morning on Wednesday. All the distributions out. We're having a video up today as well, as you guys can see when you're watching this. Videos are now going to be out on Wednesday as well. Wednesday mornings, we're going to have a video going over the distributions as well as to the Friday usual videos. So we're going to be having 2 videos a week now, going over distributions on Wednesday, going over how I'm planning to trade mid of the market week, what trades I'm going to take, how I'm going to distribute my dividends, and how much I am earning, and my opinions on the distributions we're earning. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Here we have the tweet, of course, from YieldMax ETF. Great source to have, by the way, their Twitter page if you do not follow them already, or their X page to what it's called now. So let's take a look at their official post, and we're going to go ahead and go through all the ETFs, and then we'll focus in on the ones I actually own. So LFGY is a new YieldMax weekly paying ETF, focusing, of course, on crypto and tech. That we're not going to get into. Of course, they also didn't have a distribution just yet. They just launched this week, I'm pretty sure. So YMAX is the first one up, paying $11.18 per share. Kind of a sad view, $11.18. YMAG paying 5 cents a share. Then we have MSTY paying $2.27.92 per share. YQQQ paying $38.73 per share. We have AMZY paying $40.05 per share. APLY paying $28.41 per share. AIYY paying $37.63 per share, and DISO paying $27.82 per share. SQY with $63.38 per share, and then SMCY at $1.7215 per share. Let's go ahead and take a look before I even give my opinion on how this compares to last month. So last month, YMAX earned $13.90 at the same distribution time, so Group D distribution time. It earned us $13.90. YMAG earned us $5.92. MSTY earned us $3. YQQ earned us $27.42. AMZY earned us $86.19. APLY earned $42.15. AIYY earned $87.18. DISO $36.21. SQY $65.43, and SMCY $235.46. So AMZY comes in lower, APLY comes in lower, YMAX comes in lower, MSTY comes in lower. What else? So YQQ came in higher. AIYY came in lower. DISO came in higher. DISO came in lower. AYY came in lower. DISO came in lower. SQY came in lower. And then SMCY, so pretty much all of them came in lower besides the reverse fund YQQ. So meaning, of course, we did have a market downturn for a little bit in this past week. So I guess that is what ramped up the dividend distribution for YQQ, assuming they are taking the monthly, which I'm pretty sure they're taking the monthly income earned the month before to this week. So, yeah. Pretty low distributions, 11.18 from YMAX. Of course, I'm going to focus in on the ones I actually own, which is YMAX, AMZY, and APLY. YMAX coming in at 11.18, AMZY coming at 40, half of what we got last time, and APLY coming in at 28.41, roughly 50% of what we got the last time. It's quite of a disappointing view right now currently. And of course, we did have Christmas and we did have New Year's, and that cut our trading time short. And of course, volatility, and we had the dip on December 16. We had the dip that happened in December 16 that dropped us and kept dropping us lower and lower and lower. It seems like we're starting to recover from that currently today on Wednesday, the 15th, right? Yep, the 15th. Gotta make sure that's correct. But yeah, so everything comes in lower. It's kind of a sad view. YMAX, I need YMAX to get back to 20 cents. Or we could go ahead and switch over to the view of our actual earnings. So we could go look at AMZY. I currently stand at 316.5 shares of AMZY. We got that 40.05 distribution per share from AMZY, giving me a total of $126.76. And we have APLY that we have 295.0854 shares, and that gave us a distribution, of course, of $28.41, giving us $83.83. If we take a look from last month we made $261.59 from AMZY with an $86.19 distribution with 303 shares. So we had roughly 13 less shares, and we still made more. Of course, distribution was higher. With APLY, we did get a lower distribution as well. We added a bunch of, not a bunch of shares, but a good amount of shares. We added roughly 24 shares on top of APLY, and we got a lower distribution again from 114.26 to 83.83. But of course, it could be said that because of tax purposes, they did pay us a higher amount due to tax reasons, and that's why we got the higher distributions. You could say that. And I guess you could say that it lines up with the 81.38 to 83.83. That's like the normal growth period. But we did add a lot of shares from that 81.38 period of 243 shares to 295. And as well as AMZY, we got 293 at a $1 payout November, which wasn't in the tax time, or like towards the end of the tax frame. So 344.31. So I don't know, man. We're half and more than half from when we were in November, half of what we were from December for AMZY and APLY. And I understand we had shorter trading period and volatility, and the market was going down. I get it. The times were kind of hard for this past couple weeks when it came to trading in the market, so I'll have to give it to that. But still, it's kind of sad to see the 40.05 and the 28.41, $126.76, $83.83. We take over a look at YMAX. Go down here. We take a look at YMAX. We can see that we received $56.96 to our 509 shares, so 509.4515 shares. We got 11.18 distribution, and that gave us $56.96, down negative 19.86% from last week, which is down 21.41% from the week prior, and then that's down 18.89% from the week prior to that, which was $111.49. So not the prettiest sight to see. Not the prettiest sight to see that we're currently trending downwards and downwards and downwards, not only in stock value, but in dividends being paid out. But of course, like mentioned before, the market has been down, the market has been trending downwards, and of course, so would these funds and their values and their dividends, assuming that volatility is also trending downwards. So kind of makes sense. But also, I haven't been adding shares into YMAX, as you can see. The reason being is because I've been taking my YieldMax distributions and putting them in other places as well, redistributing in other places. I also have contracts that are ending this week, so I do have to pay to move them over to the next year prior, so we can continue to trade the poor man covered call strategy. That's going to cost me a little bit there, but in general, as you can see, we're trending downwards at the moment. Of course, we still have the 4th week of payment. I think we also have a 5th week of payment, assuming they do pay at the end of the end of the month. They do pay us. I'm pretty sure the week ends right off on the 31st or something of that sort. So I think we might have 5 weeks of payments. Don't quote me on that. But we don't. We still have week 4 left of payments, and we also have a TESLA distribution for the main payment. We have a TESLA distribution that we have yet to receive. So that is going to be interesting to see. But in general, not the greatest of sights. But before we go over how I'm distributing and what I'm distributing my cash on the sidelines into, let's go ahead and take a look at Roundhill as well. So Roundhill announces distribution, of course, as it always does. For some reason, they announce it at night early, even though they post it at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's up on their website at night around 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock p.m. Usually is when I see it up. Not sure why, but it is. But they did announce it here at 7 o'clock in the morning. XDTE coming in at 36.8 per share. QDTE coming in at 33.6 per share. RDTE at 37.5 per share. And YBTC, of course, 34.9 per share. I don't own XDTE. I don't own RDTE. The reason I don't own XDTE and RDTE is because, of course, I already have money into the S&P 500. I don't need to own an ETF that trades the S&P 500 because I run my own poor man covered call strategy. I run TNA, which is the 3 times leveraged Russell strategy that I run, the poor man covered call strategy on Russell 2000, the leverage 3 times TNA. So RDT, I also don't need I don't need my money into currently. So QDT is what I do own myself. So 33.6 is what I'll be receiving for QDT. And if we go ahead and take a look at that, we can see that I received, if we go to the QDTE new thing, I received $73.64 from QDT. So this is the only one for this week that actually had an increase of distribution. So we went from 29.83, 18.27 to 33.65. As you can see, we added a couple shares into it as well. We purchased a couple shares into that, and that gave us the $73.64, which is an 88.51% increase from last week. So we did break that red week over week red and we finally got a green on our screen of 88.51% increase from last week. So that is that. That's QDTE. That's YieldMax ETF. How am I distributing these my cash on the sideline into these ETFs? So looking into them, looking at what we're getting paid out. Let's go ahead and go back to this screen. We can see that we have 316 shares of AMZY, we have 295 shares of APLY, and of course we have for QDTE, we have 218 shares, and then we have for YMAX, if we go down, we have 509 shares. So how am I looking to distribute? I currently have like $600 in cash on the sideline from the previous dividends that we've earned, as well as option income. How am I going to distribute into them? Well, obviously, I'm going to go into AMZY, I'm going into APLY, and I'm probably going to go into YMAX as well. I don't think I'm going to redistribute into QDTE this week. That is because, of course, QDTE, I did put a good amount of money in. So I'm probably going to YMAX, AMZY, and APLY. I'm going to split it 3 ways. If we're going to do the math really quick for that, what is that? 500 divided by 3. That is roughly like 175-ish, right around there. If I'm not wrong, yeah, 175-ish. So 175 in every single ETF, maybe a little bit more into one, less into the other. I did add more shares into APLY last time than I did into AMZY, so I might throw more money into AMZY. It might be more of like a 200 to 150 split. So 200 into AMZY, 150 into YMAX, 150 into APLY, just depending on where I see more opportunity to put into it. So for, of course, ex-dividend date will be tomorrow, Thursday morning. We'll see the drop in the share prices of AMZY, APLY, and YMAX. That's when I believe the best purchasing opportunity is, and that's when I'm going to be purchasing, of course, like mentioned before, probably $200 into AMZY, $150 into APLY, and $150 into YMAX, and that's how I'm going to be playing this week's distributions. Even with the low distributions, like mentioned, you got to think about it long term. If we look at AMZY before, AMZY, we had a 36 payment before. We had a 47 payment before with AMZY. With APLY, we've had low 17s. We had, well, APLY actually stuck. I'm surprised. APLY actually stuck pretty well. So this is one kind of the new lows for APLY currently. But of course, like mentioned before, we did have a shorter trading period. So 17 and now 28 is the second lowest, it seems like, on the chart. For AMZY, we have 40. And then we have 36, and then we had a 47. So these are the 3 lowest currently that we have for AMZY. But of course, like mentioned before, we have all this time, we have all this year to make up for the dividends we didn't receive this month, to beat what we received last year for 2024 with that $2,000 from AMZY and the $798 from APLY. So I'm not too concerned. Distribution's low. Okay, distribution's low. It's all right. We'll recover. I have my option strategies continues to trade, and like I said, we're going to distribute into 200, 150, 150. We're going to go ahead and do that type of split. So 200 to AMZY, 150 to APLY, 150 for YMAX, and we're going to go ahead and wait until next month and receive probably, hopefully higher dividends distributions, and we'll have more shares for cheaper prices since the market did dip, and hopefully those shares recover in share value because it seems like the market is recovering. And for next week, we're going to have $126.83, so what is that, 200 something, and then we're going to have YMAX that gives us 56, so that's like 250-ish, and then so we're going to have roughly $300-ish going into next week's distribution of Tesla and into Tesla and GUI for the last distribution, or week 4 distribution of January. So we'll have roughly 300-ish, $350-ish going into next week. And of course, with that $350, I also take margin out on that. So 50% of margin on 350 is roughly 125 around there, 150, 125. Or no, 175, 150, 175. We're going to take a margin out on that, and that's going to boost us to 500. So we'll have $500-ish to go ahead and reinvest into other ETFs, assuming, of course, that we are able to get some option income on top, or we don't get any option income. We get option income, that's even more money to redistribute into next week. But yeah, that's a lot of information. I'm going to start, once again, I mentioned before, we're going to start doing these videos on Wednesday as well. I have free time to do so, so why not? I see people do enjoy this type of content, so why not create this type of content, give my own inputs on the distribution. So that has been Group D distributions for week 3 of January, or yeah, week 3 for January. Not the greatest distribution I've ever seen. Like I said before, low for pretty much every single thing on the chart except YQ2, the reverse fund. But like I mentioned before, December 16, we had the dip started in December 16. We've been going down consistently for weeks and weeks, or like 2-3 weeks. Or how long has it been? I think it's been like 2-3 weeks, right? We've been going down for like 2-3 weeks. I've been dollar cost averaging, buying up the funds that I love and own. I hope you guys have been doing the same, and we'll see how this goes in the next month of February. Hopefully everything recovers to a certain state. We're able to get the distributions back up to where they belong, or not belong, but the ones where we prefer. Hopefully YMAX gets up to the 20-cent mark, because if it's the 20-cent mark is really what I love about YMAX. If we could keep it at 20 cents, it would be amazing. Especially, you know, if I'm able to get my share count up, you know, if you have 1,000 shares of YMAX, 20%, that's $200 a week. Sorry, 20 cents, that's $200 a week that you're earning on having those 1,000 shares of YMAX. So if we're able to keep it at 20 cents, that's perfect. AMZY around the 60-80 cent mark is great, and APLY in the 30-cent mark is also amazing for my own personal shares. MSTY's volatile. I understand why it's at $2.27. YQQ, we understand why it's up, reverse fund, therefore we earned a little bit more. YMAG, of course, I'm pretty sure YMAG is low. It's always low on distribution Group D, because that's paying from the MSFO week distribution. That's why it's a little bit lower. And in general, AIYY, I don't know much about that. This, so I also don't track that well. SQY is, I know, is volatile, and SMCY is volatile. So those make a little bit sense of why they're so low. But in general, that has been Group D distributions. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully this a little bit has been insightful. And I'll continue to make these videos every single Wednesday, and as well as the Friday videos. And we're going to see if you guys enjoy these videos. Of course, if you did, like, subscribe. Hopefully my input, my opinions on this distributions and how I'm going to be playing this week and next week and the rest of the month are insightful. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys see you guys on Friday for Friday's video, and then I'll see you guys next week for next week's distribution. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for seeing my opinion, hearing me out. I'll see you guys in the next week in the next video for Friday.